Clearly, they're quite a bit more expensive, new and indeed second-hand. And people might be wondering, is it worth it given what electricity is costing now when you plug them in to charge them up?
Yeah, I think there's no question that people are still thinking about making the switch to electric. Demand is still really strong for electric cars. I mean, we're seeing on AutoTrader about 25% of all visits onto the site are to look at electric cars when it comes to new car searches. But they're accounting for only 1 in 7 sales. So the interest is there, the passion is there to make the switch and go electric. But then people get put off by that sticker price, which is still on average 36% more than you would pay for the equivalent petrol or diesel car. But yes, energy prices are going up, but so are petrol and diesel prices. It still works out far cheaper in terms of running costs to have an electric car.
But the other question, of course, is the infrastructure and how many charging points there are and how quickly you do charge the car up. If you're doing a long journey, you can maybe add an hour or two in to get the charging time added on top.
Yeah, undoubtedly, range anxiety is still a huge caveat, a huge barrier to the mass volume uptake that we need to see of electric cars. I think at the moment there's something like 40,000 public charging points in the UK, far more home charging points and destination charging points at offices and restaurants, so on. And we are seeing those charging points still kind of congregated around the more wealthier postcodes in the UK. And if we need to get to that mass adoption by 2030, around 2030, then we are going to need an acceleration in public charging points and not just in those wealthier postcodes.
And the other issue, of course, is, you talk about range anxiety, is that we don't seem to have cracked the battery technology and that many of the advertised mileage rates, 250 miles per charge, don't actually take into account bad weather, cold weather, rain, you're using the wipers. You can suddenly find yourself 175 miles and you're out of juice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's an equivalence there with petrol and diesel. Manufacturers used to quote the most favourable miles per gallon for petrol and diesel, and it was very few drivers who could actually get those figures. And the same is happening with electric. Car brands will always advertise the maximum possible range, but that will tend to be with your heated steering wheel turned off, with the air conditioning turned off and not doing 80 miles an hour on the motorway. But I think as more consumers adopt the technology, as more consumers get used to the jargon and the way that electric cars are sold and represented, they'll understand, look, if I'm going to do a massive motorway journey at 80 miles an hour, then I'm probably going to see 20 miles less in my range. But range is increasing, batteries are getting more efficient, the cost of manufacturing the batteries is coming down. We do expect to see price parity between electric vehicles and their petrol and diesel counterparts end of 2024, hopefully. If we stay on track, I do think, though, it would be a very good thing if the government were to look again at incentives given this cost of living crisis.